Good morning. All right, we're going to try this again. For those who don't know, I am a ordained reverend, so I'm used to a little call and response. We're not going to go to church, but good morning, everyone. Good morning. Amen. Thank you. Welcome to the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts inaugural Women's Empowerment Breakfast. Throughout the 105-year history of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, women have been essential to the growth and development and impact of this organization from an early age, from board members to directors to staff, volunteer, guild members, young professionals, network members. Women have sustained the organization. And in a world where the rights of women are under attack, and particularly women of color and especially black women, it's all the more important that this organization demonstrates its values by celebrating and honoring those whose strength, diversity, and experience is what has sustained us and carried us through. It's all the more important that we demonstrate our values by celebrating and honoring those whose strength and diversity of experience has not only helped shape this organization, but has powered a movement. We're proud today to be honoring amazing women whose work, legacy, and contributions have left an indelible impression on the city of Boston and the greater Boston area. We're also excited to celebrate leaders in the corporate and nonprofit sector and are inspired by the work of a rising star, so much so that we are investing in her work. The Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts is not merely using the word empowerment cheaply because we are honoring women, but because we are investing in women. Through our work in workforce development, health equity, entrepreneurship, and our domestic violence project, we are supporting and attempting to empower women. I'd like to say thank you to our title sponsors for this breakfast, Enterprise Mobility and TJX Companies. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for taking on being lead sponsors for this breakfast. And thank you to all of our sponsors for ensuring that we can celebrate today. We look forward to the awards ceremony and the fireside chat and hope that when you leave here today, that you are inspired, that you are encouraged, and that you are empowered. And so we do this as we celebrate strength and diversity. I'd like to acknowledge we have an elected official in the room, Suffolk County District Attorney, and my good friend Kevin Hayden is here. And so it's my honor to introduce two people who have made sure that this breakfast is true to its name and true to its meaning of being a women's empowerment breakfast. And so I'd like to invite our event co-chairs, Dr. Aisha Miller and the Honorable Marie St. Fleur, up to bring some opening remarks.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. All right, good morning. I know the food is good, but I need you guys to wake up here. So I'm going to yield the microphone to one of my mentors, Marie St. Fleur, while she brings you the welcome today.
She's so cute. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us this morning and for giving us the opportunity to honor the work and accomplishments of the wonderful women that you're going to meet today. I am just really honored and privileged to have the opportunity to work with Aisha Miller, to work with our new president of the board, Josh Kraft, and our very own executive director and president of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, Rasan Hall. Now, you know, and we are so grateful that for the work that we do, we're supported by wonderful, wonderful male friends who understand that women are empowered, that they too are empowered. It's not a competition. So we're so grateful for that. Now, Aisha and I, when we were having these conversations with Rasan, one of the things that we wanted to be certain is that we were recognizing women who really have been on the ground doing the work. So this is not, as some would say, lip service, as he has said. This is really about women who have been about the business of empowering women. And you know that word often gets used, overused. But to us, what empowerment means is that you have not lost sight of the people who are doing the work. The people on the ground who every day on the front line understand that in order to accomplish the beloved community that so many have talked about and that King dreamed about, that we have to be about the daily work of connecting with people, supporting them, giving the tools that they need for their own agency to accomplish the dreams that they want in their lives. And that's what the Urban League does every day, and that's what these amazing women who are about to meet have done for decades. And I am blessed to have had two of them in my life in many ways. And I want to really, before I step off this mic, recognize Mary Reed for her investment in me as a young woman, as a younger woman. Because she did. Let's keep it real. and I also want to understand and really recognize Shirley Owens-Hicks, who's not with us here this morning, but her family is here, for she's also a trailblazer in making certain doors are open and the ladders not pulled up for those of us who've come behind. So with that, I am going to turn it back to our amazing president here, and I thank you so much for being here. And if you promise me one thing when you leave here, that you tell two people about the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts and why we matter. We matter because so much is at stake, and we must continue to support this amazing organization. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There was no question who we needed to be the chairs of this event. I know there's some people who are tactile and are used to certain things happening at events like a program booklet, but this is 2024, y'all. We scan in QR codes. So if you'd like to see the program booklet, scan the QR code. Now, there are people of a certain generation who haven't adopted QR codes. We understand that, and we have committed to making sure that we will have printed copies for those people. All right? So, but if you need to find the QR code, I'm not calling no names, but we'll find you. It is my honor to introduce an amazing woman who is our MC and moderator for the day. Soraya Winter-Smith covers Boston City Hall for GBH News and is the host of the What Is Owed podcast. And if you haven't listened to that podcast, I implore you, I encourage you, I beseech you that you would listen to that podcast. It is a very comprehensive approach and review and gives insight and understanding of what is owed in terms of reparations. Before that, she covered the Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan neighborhoods, focusing on how people live and the issues that shape those communities. And prior to joining GBH, Soraya worked as a State House reporter, producing radio and television stories for several outlets. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody, let's please welcome our MC.
We have to follow Rasan. I'm a shorty. You gotta adjust it down for me. I was worried I was gonna have to warm you guys up, but between Marie St. Fleur and Rasan, I'm gonna say good morning. And you're already awake. I love it. There it is. I am Soraya Wintersmith, and in my daily life, I am a reporter for GBH News. But today, it is my extreme honor to be with you serving as the MC for the Urban League of Massachusetts, Eastern Massachusetts, inaugural Women's Empowerment Breakfast. Somebody say inaugural. I love it. I love it. So we are gathered here under the banner of an organization that since 1919 has worked to promote self-reliance in workforce and economic development in the Bay State. Today's event is a tribute to the exceptional women of color. Somebody say exceptional. Who have influenced our community. It also commemorates a year that's marked by historic challenges and transformative moments in politics, public health, social justice, grassroots activism, and the arts. Throughout these arenas, Black women have been at the forefront, driving change, demonstrating leadership, and setting high standards for service and achievement. And for the women we honor today, their names are familiar to many of us, and their contributions are deserving of recognition and honor. So we're making space to give the ladies some flowers this morning, and again, I'm extremely honored to be with you here in doing that. We're gonna kick things off here with a joyful sound from Angelina Hightower singing the Black National Anthem. As she makes her way here, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about her. Angelina Hightower is the front woman of one of Boston's premier cover bands, Angelina and the Unit. With more than 30 years of experience in the business of music and entertainment, she has graced the stage with notable artists such as Patti LaBelle, Josh Groban, Celine Dion, and Michael Bolton. In addition to her many performance accomplishments, she has also appeared on The Today Show and VH1's Diva Holiday Unsilent Night Special. And I think I read that you and your band are gonna be at Slade's later this week. So if you want some more soulful sounds, you be over there. But let's kick it off.
Transparent moment every time I stand before my own people. It's extremely humbling, and believe it or not, I am nervous. I do get to be that sometimes. But they say, nerves keep you humble, right? Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn has died, yet with our steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over a wave with our tears has been watered. We have come, treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered, out from the gloomy past, till we now stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star has passed. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we meet thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land.
Sis says she was nervous. Sis says she was nervous. Do you understand how much I would cut up if I could sing like that? And sis says she was nervous. All right, next we're going to hear from Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts Board Chair Josh Kraft. He's going to shepherd us through some of the folks that need to be thanked for making this event possible. Join me in welcoming Chairman Kraft to the podium.
Thank you. I just want to start. I'm not going to say good morning because we've said it enough. But this morning we're celebrating the values of women leaders, and the values they have of compassion, care, thoroughness, and impact are so powerful. And I know firsthand because that's how my mother was. And I learned those values from her. She always told us the Jewish concept, repair the world, tikkun olam. You're not free, you don't have to finish the work, but that doesn't mean you can ignore the work. And she made sure all of us from upstairs still are participating in the work. And I do have to say that if you ever mentioned Mary Reed in front of my mother, oh my God, she's like, if you have a chance to talk to her, you listen to everything she says. She loved Mary Reed. And I know when I got together with you and Marie years back, I called her and she's like, well, it's good. Shh. Keep your mouth shut and your ears open. So it's great because I know you guys shared the same values of, I just mentioned, compassion, community, inclusivity, love for everybody, because it's the only way we drive our communities forward. And we're doing it through the leadership of great women. And those values, whether it's my mother, Mary, Shirley Owens, all the women we're honoring today. So thank you and thanks. So we wouldn't be able to celebrate or share those values without our awesome sponsors. I know Rasan mentioned our title sponsors, Enterprise, Mobility, and TJX, so thank you. Our platinum sponsors, the Lynch Foundation and CVS Health, and then gold sponsors, Eastern Bank, Encore Boston Harbor, State Street, Trish Kennedy. We also have our silver sponsors and our bronze sponsors and contributors. Their names are on the slides. So again, thank you all for being here and investing in the values that are so important to all of us. And I'll turn it back to Soraya. Thank you.
Before she sneaks away, because she's got to get back to budget hearings, I want to acknowledge that Senator Liz Miranda is in the building. I'm told she needs to fight for a budget amendment for the Urban League, so she's going to get back to what she was doing. Next, I want to bring up Dave Friedman of the Boston Red Sox. Come on, y'all. Stay away.
Good morning. Welcome back to Fenway Park. Obviously, this is the first Women's Empowerment Breakfast, but this is not the first time that we've hosted the Urban League. We're thrilled to have you back. And the Urban League, as Rasan said, is 105 years old. Fenway Park, 112 years old. But I'd like to think that we're new, young organizations with energy. And congratulations, Rasan, on finishing up your first year and your tenure here. If this is your first year, I can't wait to see the amazing things you're going to do. So very briefly, as you know, the Red Sox have come to appreciate how important diversity is. This was the last team in baseball to diversify and to integrate with a black player. And this team paid the price. It didn't win the World Series for quite a long time. But as we meet today, it seems to me that we're at this juncture of a moment of change and challenge. The change, I came here to Boston from New York. I used to be a Yankee fan, sorry. But everyone makes mistakes. I came here to come up to college in 1989. And this state is a completely different place today. Look around. Look at our government. The government is run by women. Almost every single position of power, governor, lieutenant governor, treasurer, attorney general, senate president. The city of Boston, run by Mayor Michelle Wu. City council, which reflects the city. Look at the face of the city council. Look at private business. Look at the Red Sox. Behind third base, we have a montage on the wall, pictures of women leaders in baseball. And next Wednesday in this space, we're going to inaugurate into our Hall of Fame, the Red Sox Hall of Fame, my colleague Elaine Stewart-Weddington, black woman who's been in this organization for 35 years as a leader. So tremendous change, all these all-stars. I mean, from the co-chairs, Marie St. Fleur and Dr. Aisha Miller, like, wow, you have an all-star Hall of Fame team here to do the work today. And you've helped to create all that change. But this is a time of challenge. The last few years, we've seen a surge in hate of all kinds throughout our nation. And it's not just the nation, it's here locally too, all kinds of hate. Women's rights, obviously, are under assault in the courts. And the very mission of DEI had long been attacked by some people, conservatives in the media, but now it's more under attack, I think, than ever. And as people think about DEI and the value of DEI, we have work to do to preserve it and figure out how to make it work even better. As my dear friend Colette Phillips says, we need to make sure that the I in inclusion is really important, and it stands for including everyone. And that involves white men who can jump, that she honors trying to lift up everyone around them, and all of us thinking about what inclusion really means. So it's our thrill to have you here. Hopefully the space will spark great inspiration and insight and fun and networking. Have a great day. This is obviously a winning event no matter what happens in the Red Sox in the field. This is our biggest win, and I'm thrilled, because if nothing else, I think we just found ourselves a national anthem singer. So have your agent call me. Again, congrats, have a great breakfast, and great to see you all. Thanks.
And next we'll have Peter Dulac, board member from Enterprise Mobility. Peter, where are you?
I'm just fortunate I didn't have to go after Angelina. Wow, that was extraordinarily powerful. It's a humble opportunity to be up here today. Second annual breakfast that we've been a keynote sponsor. It's an honor and a privilege. I've been involved with the Urban League since 2007 when I first entered the board. Moved a little bit around the country and in Europe with Enterprise, then came back in 2019. My dear friend William Watkins, who's been holding the torch for a long time, invited me to get back on. And under Mr. Feaster and Dr. Motley, we accomplished a number of things, and really excited about the future with President Hall and Chairman Kraft. Just a little bit about Enterprise, very briefly. We're a privately held company. A lot of people don't notice that. Jack Taylor volunteered in World War II, came home after 28 combat missions on the USS Enterprise, and started a rent-a-car company out of St. Louis. His son took over. Women empowerment is a big part of our corporation. Our last 2 CEOs, we've had 4 CEOs in 67 years. Our current CEO and our previous CEO are all women. So I've had a lot of women bosses for a long time, and they kick a lot of butt. I'm proud that we have a lot of local female leadership here today, and men. And again, just it's up to us to continue the fight and make sure that we are in the appropriate places at the right time. And it's an honor to be on the board. So thanks for having us this morning. Thank you.
And then finally, we also want to acknowledge TJX, who is a title sponsor. Thank you so much for y'all. Now comes the moment where we recognize the hard work of community leaders who embody the inaugural, somebody say inaugural, Women's Empowerment Breakfast theme, honoring strength and diversity. We begin with the Mary L. Reid Award. I just want to say we are naming these awards after 2 women, which will be given out at all future Urban League Women's Empowerment Breakfasts. And then in addition to naming the award, we got the namesake and then we got the award recipient. So this is the privilege of being at the inaugural one. You get to meet the awardees. I have a clicker. I think I'm going to press the green button to learn more about the Mary L. Reid Award. And Ms. Mary L. Reid, will you join me in turning your attention to our screens?
The Mary L. Reid Award is named in honor of Mary L. Reid, former president of the Bessie Tart Wilson Initiative for Children, who has over 40 years in the early education field. She worked with her mother, Bessie Tart Wilson, who founded Tarts, the first Black-owned daycare center in Roxbury that has also been an example of how the entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to community have created generational wealth through 3 generations of women. Under Mary's leadership, it evolved into Tarts Daycare Centers Incorporated, serving infants, toddlers, and preschoolers across multiple sites.
Hi, my name is Mary Reid. Let me just say it's wonderful to be recognized and to have the award named after me. Over the years, I've been building a business, Tarts Daycare Center, and we serve about 150 to 200 children daily and 60 employees. And when I look at it from a lens of a woman, I think it's very important to see women providing leadership in a field. And childcare is very natural. Women take care of children. My mom was a nurse. She was disabled because she had polio as a child. So when she stopped nursing, she was looking for a career that she could do in her home. So it started off as child care center in her home, like family daycare. And then as we grew older and grew up in the business, my family, we decided to make it a bigger business with a larger profile.
Mary not only came from that experience, but she took it to the next level. And so she's able to show us not only can we lead, but we can also lead and transition. She then started the Bessie Tart Wilson Initiative for Children, whom I've had the benefit of having worked for at one point in my life. And so she created avenues that allowed for some of us to step forward and demonstrate our leadership, and I'm a personal beneficiary of that.
And what the initiative did was work with state representatives and people in the State House to really get child care a bigger platform, especially for families of color. The Urban League has always been about raising the profile and speaking about the issues that Black people or people of color really need in their lives.
I think that is the epitome of what empowerment is. It is really demonstrating what's possible, taking the lead and demonstrating what's possible. The corporate experience is not disconnected from her personal experience. And so that personal experience informed how she showed up in the corporate world. And she showed up as a strong, independent, intelligent, and collaborative person. And she's actually created that example for all of us that have come after her.
Our award recognizes a woman who has excelled as an entrepreneur or corporate leader through strategic and innovative thinking and has a proven track record of driving change. The awardee is involved in the community and has consistently raised the profile of women through philanthropic gifts, advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and has created a pathway and pipelines for women to succeed.
All right, give it up for Miss Mary L. Reed. That is the namesake of this first award. And here to present a gift to Miss Mary L. Reed is Rasan Hall, Marie St. Fleur, Aisha Miller, and Josh Kraft.
So on behalf of the Urban League board and staff and the event chairs, we are presenting you with this gift that memorializes the fact that we are naming the Mary L. Reed Leadership Award for Corporate and Entrepreneurial Leadership, and I'll read the proclamation so folks want to know. It says, whereas the Mary L. Reed Award will be awarded at all Urban League Eastern Massachusetts Women's Empowerment Breakfasts in the future, stands as a testament to the remarkable legacy of Mary L. Reed, a visionary leader, impactful entrepreneur, and tireless advocate for early education. And whereas Mary L. Reed's unwavering commitment to community upliftment and entrepreneurial spirit has left an indelible mark on generations of women, exemplified by her continuation and expansion of her mother, Bessie Tart Wilson's Tarts, the pioneering Black-owned daycare center in Roxbury, Boston. And whereas under Mary's steadfast leadership, Tarts evolved into Tarts Daycare Centers, incorporated a beacon of excellence serving infants, toddlers, and preschools across multiple sites. And whereas Mary L. Reed Award recognizes outstanding women who have excelled as entrepreneurs or corporate leaders, demonstrating strategic, innovative thinking and leaving an indelible mark on their communities. And whereas the esteemed awardee will be renowned who consistently raises the profile of women through philanthropic gifts, advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion, and creating pathways and pipelines for women to thrive and succeed. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts Women's Empowerment Breakfast Mary L. Reed Award celebrates the legacy of Mary L. Reed and honors exceptional women who embody her spirit of leadership, resilience, and community impact as entrepreneurs or corporate leaders. Their contributions will inspire us all to build a more equitable and prosperous future for generations to come. Come over here and take a photo. I'll hold it for you.
Thank you again.
And before you go, I'm not going to read it all. Citation from Senator Liz Miranda. I should have read this one and not that one. Be it known, I will read it because it's so short. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Mary L. Reed in recognition of your exemplary service with the Commonwealth, your strong commitment to empowering diverse families and communities, and your leadership in entrepreneurship, child welfare, and education. And it's signed by Senate President Karen Spilka and the clerk and Senator Liz Miranda.
One more time. All right, Rasan, Aisha, Josh, Marie St. Fleur, don't go anywhere. We got to do it one more time. We got to do it one more time. True. Right? So now, the recipient of the inaugural, somebody say inaugural, Mary L. Reid Award is Diana Cruz Solash. So you heard Miss Mary say in that video that it is very important that women see women providing leadership in a field. Diana Cruz Solash does just that through the corporate pathway. She's Vice President of Talent and Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity at Vertex Pharmaceuticals. In collaboration with senior leaders, employee resource networks, human resources, and community affairs, Diana is responsible for progressing Vertex's global IDE strategy, talent development programs, and culture initiatives. Prior to Vertex, Diana spent 20 plus years at Ernst & Young in various HR leadership roles and spearheaded their global diversity and inclusion roadmap and ethnic minority retention strategy for 7 years. Diana also served as the first inclusion, diversity, and equity leader at Infor, a global software company with 17,000 employees. Diana serves on the Martha's Vineyard Chief Diversity Officer Summit Steering Committee, is a participant in the Healthcare Business Women's Association New England Executive Exchange Program, and is a mentor for Fred's Team, a Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center running program. She previously served as a co-chair for the Committee for Economic Development's Women's Economic Contribution Subcommittee as president for the New York chapter of Ascend. Diana holds a BA in Economics and Psychology from the University of Pennsylvania. She is an avid marathon runner and a mom who enjoys spending quality time with her sons, Max and Scotty. Please welcome your Mary L. Reid awardee, Diana Cruz Solash.
Wow, this is incredible. I want to express my gratitude to the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, especially to the co-chairs, the Honorable Marie St. Fleur and Dr. Aisha Miller, as well as to Rasan Hall, the President and Executive Director, and to Mary Reid. I'm so honored to be sitting next to you and to receive the inaugural Mary L. Reid Award. And I have to thank my friend and mentor, Danny Monroe, who couldn't be here today, but who nominated me for this award. It is such an honor to receive this recognition from this organization, whose mission aligns with my own, enabling adults to overcome barriers to economic development and employment, and to receive the award named after you, Mary, an intrepid advocate for women and children. I was so touched to learn that your mother, Bessie Tart Wilson, was a nurse, just like my mom. My mom and my dad are here. And while Ms. Wilson traveled from Mobile, Alabama to Boston, Massachusetts, my mom traveled from Manila in the Philippines to North Dakota to work with the Ojibwe people. It was her visa that enabled my father my mother who was pregnant with me, my older sister, to come to the United States to earn a better living for their family, to build the family here. And so I need to say, mahal kita nanay and tatay, maraming salamat for your sacrifices and opening doors of opportunities for me. They came with 2 suitcases and high hopes for me and my sister, and I don't think they ever envisioned their precocious younger daughter standing in front of them on a stage receiving an award. So thank you to the Urban League for giving them that gift. My journey as a diversity champion started in childhood. I've always been drawn to the outsiders, those who's been outside the powers that be, and making spaces for them. I think it was because I was an outsider, someone who was bullied for being a nerd, for being that kid with the weird lunch of rice and fish, for just being a little bit different. And I was able over time to form a band of friends, all of whom are outsiders, but when I was with them, I could be at my best, and I wanted that for everybody. So even before I knew ID&E was a profession, I think I always knew in my heart I would land in this place. I started doing the work at Ernst & Young in 2000 when we formed our first employee resource networks for our African American employees, our Hispanic and Latinx employees, and our Asian employees. And it was there that I found the magic of what this organization embodies as well, the power and strength of community. We shared our hopes, our dreams, our struggles, our fears, our victories, and importantly, we served as a voice to activate change. Now, as vital as those communities were, and they still are today, I had a sense that that wasn't going to be enough. I needed to sit around the table with the power brokers who controlled the systems. And that's when I decided to move full-time into inclusion and diversity so that I could help make those changes. Now, I know all of you know this. Systemic change is hard work. It's a lot of behind the scenes. It's about being on the ground day to day, building coalitions to create change collectively together. As I said, it's about influencing those power brokers to evolve their mindsets and old ways of thinking. It's about getting other people to be the spokespeople for this very necessary work and for the change versus being the lone voice on the stage. That's how sustainable and scalable change will happen, and I'm so pleased the Urban League does this work every day. Thank you so much. Now, I might be the lone voice on stage right now, but I know I'm not alone. I am very privileged to work with colleagues at Vertex, some of whom are over there, a company who's fully committed to inclusion, diversity, and equity. And I'm proud and I'm so humbled to be in this room with you, my fellow diversity champions, to be honored among you, and to continue to fight for a better and more inclusive world. Thank you so much.
All right, we got to move quickly here. Now we'll present the Shirley Owens Hicks Award. For more about that, we're going to turn our attention back to the screen.
The Shirley Owens Hicks Award is named in honor of a notable figure in Boston history who, in addition to serving as state representative, was also a previous president of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts. The Honorable Shirley Owens Hicks was a former Boston School Committee member and member of the Massachusetts House of Representatives, representing the 6th Suffolk District for 20 years, along her brother, the late Senator Bill Owens. Owens Hicks' legacy includes her service as a relentless advocate for civil rights and education in both public office and during her tenure as the president of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts from 1981 to 1983. Her groundbreaking work served as an example and inspiration for women to lead nonprofit organizations.
The late, great Representative Barbara Jordan said, "What the people want is an America as good as its promise." And when I read that, I immediately thought of my mother, because I believe she felt the same way. When issues negatively impacting our community would present, her stance was always to ensure the promise was kept.
My name is Dawn Hicks, daughter of the Honorable Shirley Owens Hicks.
And I am Stephanie Hicks Williams, the youngest daughter of Shirley Owens Hicks.
Overall, she was a very strong advocate in fighting for the access and opportunity of children, of senior citizens, of people of color, of the unempowered.
She is the absolute blueprint of empowerment of women. As a woman and a wife, and then a mother who had to raise her children as a single parent, she pushed through that difficulty and was determined not to let anything or anyone keep her from checking off all the boxes on her list of accomplishments.
Though our mom has been a tireless, fearless advocate for this community while in the House, she, her colleagues were as well, and they have worked together to make sure that they do right by the community, and I definitely want that to be acknowledged.
During the time that she was in leadership, definitely the predominant model was white and male. And so for her to be able to show up in her authentic self is to tell a young woman like me who is coming up that it's possible to just be who you are, not who people, the blocks or the boxes that people put you in. So I think visually that was important. And her having an open door policy and allowing for that to happen. And we're grateful for that.
She's a living legacy.
Yeah.
She's done her duty. We appreciate, you and others just acknowledging that.
I'm delighted that there is such an award being named after Shirley Owens Hicks. And sometimes, we remember the loudest voices, but we don't remember the quiet voice that sat at the table consistently, day and night, to make certain that the agenda that the community has set forth is actually executed.
Through the recipients, we get to see our mom's characteristics, different versions of it in future awardees. So that's really exciting.
Our award recognizes a woman who has led or impacted a grassroots or nonprofit organization and through strategic and innovative thinking has positively impacted the community and empowered women through base building, public education, and coalition building. The awardee has a proven track record of driving change while creating pathways and pipelines for women to succeed.
So that is who this award is named for, and I'm going to ask Rasan Hall and Josh Kraft and Marie St. Fleur and Aisha Miller to come back quickly. And the two daughters that you saw in the video here are accepting the award on behalf of Ms. Shirley Owens Hicks.
So I've been told we short on time, so I'm not going to read all of this. I'll just say, now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts Women's Empowerment Breakfast Shirley Owens Hicks Award celebrates the indomitable spirit of leadership, resilience, and community impact, echoing the legacy of a trailblazer who continues to inspire generations. Citation. No, y'all stand right there. And there's also a Senate citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends It's congratulations to the Honorable Representative Shirley Owens Hicks in recognition of your long-standing commitment to the Commonwealth, your leadership in civil rights, public education, and school desegregation, and your steadfast public service over 20 years, signed by the Senate President Karen Spilka, as well as Senator Liz Miranda.
Stay close by. And now the Shirley Owens Hicks Award recipient, Sharonda Almeida. Director of the Mel King Institute for Community Building, she assists CDCs in improving their capacity as community resources. I'm going to skip around because we're short on time. The sis holds a master's degree in education from the Harvard Graduate School of Education and a BA from Simmons University. Beyond her professional endeavors, Sharonda is a Reiki master and a certified 200-hour yoga instructor, offering weekly classes through Sharonda Yoga and Wellness. Please welcome your Shirley Owens Hicks awardee, Sharonda Almeida. You can see her full bio in the program book.
Thank you. Wow, this is wonderful. I had to prepare my remarks. So nervous. Take a breath. I invite you all to take a breath with me. Good morning. Thank you so much for this recognition. I am deeply appreciative of this award. I'd like to start off by thanking my parents who have transitioned, my bonus mom, Danny Monroe, who could not be here today, as well as my family, friends, and colleagues. I would like to thank those who are here today who got up super early to come out here to celebrate me for this breakfast. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your support now and throughout my career. I'd also like to thank the Urban League for presenting me with this award in the name of Shirley Owens Hicks, a true trailblazer. And I wrote that before you guys started saying trailblazer all morning, so clearly she is a trailblazer. I am honored. I would also like to congratulate my fellow award winners. You are all inspiring women, and I'm humbled to be recognized within this cohort of supernovas. The theme of today is about diversity, which is really just the reality of the world that we live in today. The challenge is full representation. Who is represented, and how are we challenging the systemic injustices that hold people back from fully thriving, especially those who are most vulnerable? Receiving this award is a reminder and a call for me to continue to work to support people to help individual and community transformation. My work at the Mel King Institute is really about connecting people with resources, skills, knowledge, and networks so they can go forth into this community and create a more equitable world. And that is what Mr. Mel King did. And I am so honored to be upholding the values of Mr. Mel King. From leaders, practitioners, residents, students, everyone plays a role in addressing inequities and injustice, and I'm happy to help support them in doing this. I also do this work through the boards that I serve on, Kripalar Center for Yoga and Health, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, Massachusetts Nonprofit Network, and Opportunity Communities. All of these organizations work for equity and transformation. So I thank you, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
And last but not least, we have the Rising Star Award. There is no video, so no screen. Dr. Nasreen E. Ibrahim is not with us today, but that is your Rising Star awardee. She's an advanced heart failure and transplant cardiologist and a health equity researcher. She is founder and executive director of the nonprofit, the Equity in Heart Transplant Project. It's a public charity that provides financial assistance to patients with end-stage heart failure who need a transplant. And again, we're short on time, so I'm gonna move through and just tell you that's a bit about your Rising Star awardee. You can see more about her in your programs. And here to accept the award on her behalf is Urban League board member Jaquetta Van Zandt.
Now, in addition to giving this gift, we are empowering women, not just in words only, but by making an investment in the Equity in Heart Transplant Project. We are gifting $5,000 to Dr. Nasreen Ibrahim's program to continue to do the great work of addressing the conditions that prevent people, disproportionately people of color and women, from receiving heart transplants.
I'm just going to quickly say on behalf of Dr. Ibrahim, I want to thank you all for honoring her and her very valuable work. This labor of love is so vital to our community. And in a world where our healthcare system is under attack and many people struggle to access quality medical care, we have women and sisters like Dr. Nasreen Ibrahim doing real work in real time. And by coming together as a community, we can and should always uplift the work of Dr. Ibrahim and other physicians here in Massachusetts. We should all want a healthcare system that is equitable. And the work with the TE, I'm not gonna get the acronym right, but with the work that she's doing with her nonprofit, it promotes this equality, this compassion, and the right to a healthy life for everyone. So again, thank you for honoring my friend, my sister, my soror, and a community stakeholder who is a living example of when you take a little bit out of this community, you should put a lot back in.
All right, and now we're gonna transition into our fireside chat portion of this breakfast. So you're gonna hear from some fantastic panelists who I will introduce in just a moment. And then after our conversation is over, President Hall will close us out. Are y'all still with me? All right. And to begin, Helena Ajikaye is Executive Vice President of Meet Boston. I'm gonna ask you to make your way to the front. J.C. Burton, founder and CEO of Maven Construction. I'm gonna ask you to make your way to the front. And Malia Lazu, CEO and founder of the Lazu Group. Make your way up here.
Come on, girl.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And so our fireside chat theme this morning is on the topic of defending DEI, which I think is kind of crazy to have to say, right? Because when we think about DEI, we're thinking about fostering more equitable outcomes for everybody. We're thinking about treasuring the things that make us different. We're thinking about making space so everyone has a place where they can contribute. And in journalism, because that's the sphere where I function, I know there's a clear connection between building a diverse team and making better content. Actually, just had a conversation with a journalism professor that said she has the receipts that show the best content comes from people who are embedded in and reflect the communities that they're serving. Despite all that, there are forces that don't want DEI. So I want to ask all of our panelists to recall a time that you knew prioritizing equity, diversity, and inclusion made a difference from where you sit. And Malia, I'll start with you and just add, there's both a business case and a human case, or like a moral case for DEI. Do we lose ground in the moral case if we are intentionally prioritizing the business case to those that don't understand?
So thank you. And
Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you all. This is so great. I also just shout out my DEI book is being given away. The Boston Foundation bought copies for everybody here. So please grab a book when you're on your way out. Thank you.
Congratulations on that.
So for those of you who know me know that I started off in this work with the heart case, right? I started Mass Vote when I was 19, and I was really about the moral argument of this work. And then I became a bank president. And what I realized is when I'm in business, I'm there to get paid. That our number one priority is to be a fiduciarily responsible to our shareholders. Now, whether you agree with that or not, that means that any argument that I'm making in business should tie to my P&L, should tie to my profits, right? And the other great thing that we know is that, and these are Deloitte numbers, one of our wonderful sponsors. I don't think they were high enough to get a shout out, but they were up there. What we see from Deloitte and McKinsey are that diverse teams are 39% more profitable, 70% more likely to enter a new market successfully. I teach at MIT Sloan, and I'll just end here. In every single one of my classes, I say at the first day, you will get an easy A. You will never have to show up into class if you can bring me a report that shows a room full of white men, straight white men, are more effective than a diverse team. I have never given that A away yet.
Lena, I want to turn to you next. Can you talk about why it's important for you to do your advocacy when many folks have, and they are retaining their DEI initiatives? Why don't we just trust the system and their efforts that are in place to continue doing the work?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. First of all, what a blessing to start the day in this way, and I feel so humbled and really just empowered to be here with all of you. So, I think that's an important question, and you said something that, you said system, and why can't we trust the system? I think that from my first experience here in the U.S., I came here from Ethiopia. As soon as the plane landed at Logan Airport, it was one-way flight to Boston, and growing up in Ethiopia, I had a mindset of what systems should be, or what I should, kind of show up as a black woman, until I got here. And the system told me that I needed to always be conscious of that beautiful fact. By the way, my favorite thing to be is a black woman. So why can't we trust the system? I think that the system can work. It can be trusted at times, but I think that it's important to advocate and re-articulate what the system is meant to do. And the system, unfortunately, sometimes doesn't work for all of us. However, from my vantage point, I think that the way that I start my day is to really understand the system, understand getting together and legislating, understand the policies that work and don't work for us. And a lot of my work is, outside of the community. You'll rarely find me at my desk, because the system, in my kind of at this level in my role, knowing the job is presumed, hopefully, qualifications are presumed, but really the work is out in community. So the system really lives in where we see our neighborhoods, the people in it, living in their own kind of capacities, and you see the system working and not working. When you stand in that gap, that's really, I think, the way that you should show up every day, is go where the system is not working and be able to say out loud. I think at 47, I feel like I can finally always say the system is not working. A lot of us are scared to say it because of repercussions, and we've talked about that privately, but it's showing up where the system's not working, and it's not working yet to full advantage of some of us and really a lot of us. So it's talking about it and being comfortable.
You can clap it up. JC Burton, you're in the construction space.
Yes.
I wanted to ask everybody to recall a time where DEI thought that it was effective. I didn't hear from either of you. I'm gonna go there with you.
So DEI can be effective, right? So I'm in a built environment, 3 decades worth of construction experience, and oftentimes I am the only woman. I am the only woman of color. I'm the only black person. I am the thing, right? And so at some point in time, I recognized that thing is that I am a unicorn in that context. And so being able to provide a space and place. I think we've heard earlier even from the Red Sox around how they are looking at DEI and how that's to be involved means that it's an inclusion of people. Well, we don't build a building for just a single type of person. Buildings are meant to be built for all of us to enjoy, for us to share the space. So how can we build without having diverse voices participate in that particular activity? You have to have, from a design standpoint, from a construction standpoint, a diverse thought and diverse thinking and the diversity of thought. And so DEI, at least when I show up as a unicorn, is always around making sure that I can bring that perspective and understanding that that is my perspective of being in the room. It's also about delivering the product on time and on budget, as equally as important, but it's also make sure that we can envision a place and space that is designed and built for everybody.
I'm gonna stay with you before we pivot. Given the underrepresentation of people of color and Black people in particular in construction and development, and this is after years of DEI initiatives, what would you say is missing?
So there's oh my gosh, it's an unload, that's a lot. We can be here all day.
Sit back, get a drink.
Yeah, so there's a confines. We don't actually really think about this, but we are the original builders in this country, right? So we've built all of the buildings.
Clap it up for that.
And over time, didn't get a chance to participate in the equitable context, financially participating in that construction activity. But now we're here to do that. So the gap is that it's largely extremely expensive to start a construction company. That's the first thing. Then you have to have a whole set of assets. That's the second thing, right? You've talked about from a banking perspective what that really means. And then you've got to have a skill set. So some of the things that I'm working on to make sure that we can kind of interrupt those processes is a state-funded bonding program. It's a mass surety bond. It's currently with the state legislation that I wrote a white paper about a couple years ago with help of some of the work that Mr. Feaster had done with his experience working in the State House. But I wrote this paper looking at how we can kind of cut off some of the barriers by allowing folks to have a state-funded bonding program. Some of our benchmark states, like New York, have one. So it's time for us to do that. The other thing that we're thinking about is how we can help provide wraparound support services to small contractors, right? Contractors are both business people, but then they are delivering a particular skill. And that skill is difficult in its own set, then they have to have the business mind on the other side of that. And so we're working to make sure that we can provide wraparound support services through a construction accelerator that is taking small businesses, small contractors, and helping them scale. So in that, we're addressing the gaps of opportunity, networks to access to networks, financial stability. We have a revolving loan fund inside of there that also helps to provide some equity and support for contractors.
Listen to Black women, the brilliance is in the room. Malia, I'm going to come back to you because you're out with a new book. And so when it comes to DEI, tell us, what are the concrete steps to take us from intention to impact?
So on page 75, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, I have a book over there. It's free. Thank you for mentioning it, Soraya. I talk about these 7 stages, and I've worked within corporations. I've worked outside of corporations, as many know. It's a different trajectory when you're throwing the rocks from outside than inside to try to make change. But what I saw with all of the many corporations that I've worked with, Italian insurance companies, right? Globally looking at this. And what you see is you sort of see 3 phases, or 2 phases, and then you get there. The first phase is the honeymoon phase. So step 1 is you sign a pledge. And you're like, look at us, we signed a pledge, we're so good. And then you do trainings, right? Because you signed the pledge, you're excited. We should do trainings, yay, we're gonna learn all about this. We're gonna end all the bias. And then you take action on low-hanging fruit. We're doing a hire, let's try to make that a lady, or a colored, or an LGBT, right? You go through the checklist. And then once you start taking action on that low-hanging fruit, you enter the next 3 phases, which are the phases of pushback. And the first pushback comes as, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I just don't know if we can get this through compliance. Oh, lady engineer, so hard to find. Oh, right? And so then you respond to that pushback, right? And that gets you to stage 5, right? where you're like, well, we found some lady engineers, and then they're like, oh, but they all live in another place, don't they? And you're like, well, we can get that. Okay, there's still a problem, right? And then on your stage 6, you actually just have to admit that that is the culture pushing back. That it's not compliance, it's not devil's advocate, but it's actually the bias in your culture eating your strategy for breakfast, to quote Peter Drucker. And then you have to get to stage 7, which is you do it anyway. You admit that you have bias in your culture, and rather than saying, oh, I don't want Tom and Steve to be mad at me, you say, Tom and Steve, start competing with the rest of the world. We're gonna let them in. And you do it anyway. And that's when you actually see the impact, when you can reset through your culture and not stop because of your culture.
Helena and JC Burton, I'm going to give the last word to both of you. I want to ask each of you to cast some vision on DEI and tell us, how will you know when your sphere or your industry has made it?
I can start with how will the industry know when it's made it? So right now, Massachusetts imports between 18 to 20% of its construction labor from outside the state. And that's because we are not attracting we're not attracting the youth, we're not attracting people of color, we're not attracting women into the industry. We are bringing people as far as Indiana, which is, you think about the states like just right around us, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, we'll let them have a job or two. But we're actually importing people from Indiana, specifically in Illinois, to do our construction labor, to do our work. And so what equity looks like and diversity looks like is really attracting a new community of people into the industry. It is making sure that we can retain our places there, that they can scale up. My vision is that we need to have another construction company. We need to have more Maven Constructions. We need to have another billion-dollar Black-owned construction company here in the United States. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts specifically has $10 billion worth of construction projects a year, and the market share for Black and brown businesses combined is no more than $240 million combined, right? The largest of us are only getting a small component of the work that we have here. So what equity looks like to me is when there is a company that is not only is competing equally with some of our larger contracting companies. It's also with those that make sure that the diverse space looks more like me, right? That there are people bringing different ideas. I can tell you when I'm sitting in a room talking about a project that my perspective is unique. And there are more people that have other unique perspectives that need to be brought to the room. So in equity for me, it looks like there's more inclusion across the board, that we have less import of construction workers from outside the state. We have more women, and we're on our way to having $1 billion Black-owned construction company in the United States.
Amen. No more J.C. Burton unicorn. Helena.
Yeah, and I'll just, I think echoing, I've heard both ladies talk about the P&L, and it has to be in the P&L. And let me just set the stage, because I didn't say it in the beginning, that I work in hospitality and tourism, so third largest sector in the city of Boston. So revenue is $22 billion in a majority minority city. So 23% Black people, and then you fill the gap with the rest. And it's interesting to me because when I was hired 4 years ago, and it's crazy that we say this still in 2024, the first Black executive vice president in a 42-year-old organization, I was both, I grew up in retail, by the way. I was always the first and the only in the room. I was at Ahold for 20 years, but I started looking around. Now there's 12 of us, so I'm purposefully hiring. But we talk about hospitality and tourism. You've heard NAACP coming here. You've heard many things. We're booked until 2039 for meetings and conventions at the convention center. So when you think about that, when you think about the diversity, literal diversity in the hospitality and tourism industry, I implore you to dig deeper. I'm in the boardroom almost every day as the only and by myself. I'm okay to stand in it. I actually always say, thank God I grew up in Ethiopia until I was 12, because I have to preserve and go back to that, to know that Black women belong everywhere. And that's thank God to my mother and my father. With that being said, where I know I think diversity will work is when I'm not the only one, walking
That's
in
right.
boardrooms. And when diversity really in hospitality and tourism, it's diverse. You'll walk in, we're making your bed, we're opening your door, we're driving your car, we're cleaning your room, we're cooking. But in the boardroom, in the city of
That's
Boston,
right.
there's only 2 general managers of color, 2.5. 2 general managers of color. Sorry about that. And so there needs to be more. There needs to be more people in the boardroom, at manager, director,
That's
and
right.
vice president and president and CEO in hospitality and tourism. That's when I know DEI in my sector is going to work properly, and that's the work I do every day. I wake up to find the same as me, so that I'm not the only one, and that there's succession planning, and that DEI, and me being at, Meet Boston is a blessing. I'm, definitely doing the work. Not only do I do my work, but I also run all of our strategic DEI initiatives, which is not what I went there to do, but I love doing it. So that's when I know it'll work, is that when there's more of me in the boardroom, and we can see it in our wealth gap, we can see it in our third sector that's revenuing $22 billion in the city of Boston.
Clap it up for that. I feel like we could sit here for another hour and pick these ladies' brains.
We could.
But I'm gonna bring up Rasan Hall to close us out. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a wonderful breakfast. Congratulations to all our honorees and our awardees. Let's thank our MC, Soraya Wintersmith. Thank you to Malia Lazu and the Boston Foundation for providing those books. Make sure as you leave, you're to get one. We want to thank you to all of our sponsors. A special thanks to our title sponsors, Enterprise Mobility and TJX. Thank you to the Red Sox for making this space available for us. And this breakfast is a pretty good breakfast. It wasn't like croissants and fruit, which that's good to have fruit, but there's a little more sustenance here. I would be remiss if I were not to thank the board of the Urban League. Special recognition to our chair, Josh Kraft, who's hit the ground running. Want to acknowledge our chair emeritus, Joseph Feaster, who has made this happen. To our event chairs, both board members, Dr. Aisha Miller and Marie St. Fleur. Thank you. Shout out to HCAM, the video team from Holbrook. These are high school students. They made the video. Zach, you and your team have done a great job. But most importantly, in addition to our honorees and our awardees who are worthy of these acknowledgments and awards, I have to thank this amazing staff of the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts. Their tireless work not only keeps us moving forward in the work, but helps make events like this a success. When I tell you there were 3 o'clock a.m. emails, there were 3 o'clock a.m. emails because we were getting the work done. The amount of hours sacrificed pulling this all together is greatly appreciated. And lastly, if you have not already, there are QR codes for not only the program book, which will show you several of the events that we have coming up. June 1st, we've got DJ D Nice for Healthy Vibes Health Festival. Make sure people are getting connected for Medicaid and signed up Mass Health, and it's D Nice. Like, come on. On June 6th, we've got our job fair at RCC. Please come out. If you're looking for employees, please sign up to be a vendor or an employer, but also encourage people to come and find jobs. But also on June 6th, everybody who is between 21 and 40, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand because some people might raise it and it's not really in that age range. But we are rebooting our Young Professional Network. So we're having a mixer on June 6th at Avalon Roof Deck down at North Station. So please be sure to share that information. And of course on June 15th in partnership with the NAACP, the Partnership, Embrace, National Black Panhellenic Conference of Greater Boston, we're having Juneteenth at Franklin Park. And last but not least, your support is what helps us do this work, whether it is our workforce development in tech, or it's our youth STEM program through YODA, or it's our providing supports and services for victims and survivors of domestic violence. That work is critical for our community, and your support helps us do that work. So please scan the QR code and make a contribution if you have not already, and if you have already, consider making another one. Thank you so much for coming out and enjoying us here. There's food available to go. If you'd like. Is that what y'all holding that for? Charcuterie. Oh, that's for the panelists. Yeah. Oh, we get that later. Okay, yeah. Enjoy the rest of the day. It's going to be a hot one. Get plenty of fluids. Thank you all.